Well, hello everybody. I'm Astra, founder here of Astral Industries, and welcome to the Astral Industries staff Q&A session. This is a Q&A session, just like the other ones that we have seen in various other presentations throughout the night. Now, this presentation is about Astral as a group and anything that isn't Polaris Media related. So save your questions about AC24 or anything related to Astral Central for the next presentation. Now, looks like we've already got some questions going, but before we start answering them, I'd like to introduce everyone else here. So, starting to my right is Scorch. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, I am Underscorched, and I am a developer for Astral, and I'm even coming through. Hold on.
Yeah, you are. You're coming through.
Yeah, I am a developer for Astral. I'm also a web lead for Polaris, but that's not related right now. I don't know what else to say. Reasoner, I guess you can introduce yourself now.
Okay. Hi, I am Driesner2. I am a newer member of the Astral staff team, only around a year now. I am a supporting developer and a voice actor for Astral. I'll pass it over to TC now.
I'm TC. I am a supporting dev in game design for Astral, and yeah, I'll pass it to Rabbit.
Hi, I'm Rabbit. I'm one of the newest members of the Astral team and Polaris along with it. I joined originally as a graphic designer working at Polaris, but over time I've gradually moved more to a generalist state, working on a large variety of areas around developing for the groups.
All right, yeah. Some of those roles may not seem pretty straightforward, like what's a supporting developer? Well, I guess to answer that question, a supporting developer is a staff member of Astral who doesn't work directly with Roblox Studio, which is the software used to make Roblox games. So in TC's case, they are a game designer, so they help come up with concepts and gameplay mechanics for our projects in order to allow us to, have better games. And even though they don't work directly in studio, they're still a very valuable member of our team. Now, it's time to start answering some questions. So I'll go ahead and start picking some out, if I can find the correct channel. All right. First up, from Kerbix, when are we still going to see Galileo Research Complex getting released? Now, this is a pretty tricky question. If you were here for the Solaris development keynote, I personally agree with what No Doubt said about not believing in release dates. There are 10 bajillion, whatever. There's an infinite amount of variables that you have to account for when making a game, and until you're absolutely certain something's going to come out, we cannot give a release date. And even then, things change sometimes. So moving on. I'm just trying to find some good questions here. So from Toucan Dev, will GRC have a security team? Scorch, I'll let you take this one.
Most likely not, considering there's a lot of factors that go into this, and we don't want to have combat and all that. There's not exactly much else I can say directly. Astra is better tailored to answer that, but yeah, there will not really be a security team for Galileo Research Complex.
Yeah, to build on Scorch's point, we don't plan to have any security or raider teams inside of GRC, primarily because it just doesn't fit with the style of gameplay we want to have. Galileo is meant to be a fun, educational, and almost relaxing game in a way, and having combat teams would drastically shift that gameplay towards a more hostile and chaotic state, which I believe would take away from some of the benefit of having like educational experiences within our games. Now, let's see. Trying to find some questions that some of our other staff can answer. I'm engaged. Actually, yeah. I just, oh, wow, okay. So I'll answer this one from Anarchy Skyline. Where is GRC set? Does the local government have any say in GRC's operations or limitations? Now, Galileo Research Complex takes place in the northern part of the United State of Georgia, primarily because I just really like the environment around there. There's a lot of really cool forests and mountain areas that I believe make a great setting for GRC. And as in the universe that Astral takes place in, I'm sure that the local government, whether it be state government of Georgia, U.S. government, has some kind of say in how GRC operates, like regulations. I'm sure there's probably some grants in the lore rewrite we're gonna do eventually. All right, Scorch, you were working on archive stuff, so I'll pass this one to you. From someone named Apollo. Kind of random, but is there any chance that the ERH 2.0 archive will be opened when GRC is released? George?
Well, I have been intermittently working on a central Astral Archives place. I have no estimates for when that will be released or anything, as like it's really been slow to intermittent at best that I've been working on it, but it will exist eventually, and that will include ERH 2.0 as well as ERH 1.0 and even Origins, and as well as probably OVPS that as well.
Yeah, the eventual Astral Archives game will have all of our previous titles, as Scorch mentioned, which includes our first game, Off-Road Energy Production Site, all three versions of Energy Research Hub being Origins 1.0 and the Unfinished 2.0. And then if we end up releasing Galileo, which we will eventually, well, potentially any beta versions will be placed in there also. Next up, from I believe that is pronounced Lonix V. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Any tips to developers who want to make a reactor game but don't know how to make some things? My advice would be to just start tinkering around in studio and just learn. A lot of people are really like stuck in on the mindset of, oh, I have to release a thing. I have to create this one specific thing, and I must do it now, even if they don't have the skills for it. My advice is to take it slow and never start your journey as a game developer with your dream project. Always start small. Just make a couple simple games, something you can knock out in a week or a month, and then as you make these projects, you'll get to start learning the experience that you need to actually work on these larger projects. So, for example, Off-Road Energy Production Site, which was Astral's first sci-fi game, was made all the way back in like August of 2020 or June 2020. And it was not a very good game, but the important thing is that we learned from it. And throughout the 4 years since then, we have greatly improved our development skills, and now we're to the point where we have this massive convention center with so many different booths, presentations, everything. So it's about a slow and steady process. Also, tutorials are really nice. We heard earlier during a couple different presentations that groups like Nano Quantum Tech and Bunker Bravo Interactive will be putting out sci-fi genre-specific tutorials, which I believe are going to be really cool. I had that idea like a couple of years ago, but I never really got through with it. So definitely go check those guys out if you're looking to learn.
I think one thing I'd wish to add also is don't really expect to finish a monumental project by yourself. It would be cool if you could, but there's only so many things you can be really good at. So at some point, you are going to have to start looking out for other people who can help out with places you're more weak at. But at the same time, if you just hire 10 or so people, then you're not really going to get anywhere, because it'll turn more into a case of trying to manage the people over trying to manage the product.
Yeah, it's a classic too many chefs in the kitchen situation. You have to make sure that everyone on your team is one knows what they're doing, and two is like like passionate about what they're doing, because honestly, a lot of people go into game development with the idea that, oh, I'm gonna make a ton of money off of this, or like I want to get on the front page and be really popular. But if you start thinking about that, that's gonna blind you from what makes a game good. It needs to be fun, and it needs to be, well, something that you would enjoy. So, honestly, my advice, if you're trying to make a game, just make something you enjoy. A lot of the best games come out of nowhere. Take Fish back when it first released, for example. It's just a guy making a fishing game. Look where it ended up now. I mean, it's a lot of really there's a lot of really cool things that you can do if you just create a world and create a game that you're passionate about. So I guess that would be my best advice. TC, I'll pass this one to you. Does a developer have to follow the norms of a genre?
In my opinion, absolutely not. It really depends on what you have a vision for, and sometimes a break from the genre is something that's really needed. Like, we have a lot of games that are the same formula, and some newer games, like, for example, The Reactor by Hyford, differentiating from that formula brings a huge, like, spark of creativity and very unique games. And yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point too. I mean, that was inspiration was the entire theme of last year's Astral Central, with the whole light of inspiration refracting through a prism of perspectives to give a vibrant spectrum of possibilities. Man, I'm surprised I still have that memorized. But getting inspired from different projects and taking what you like from those games and learning and building off of them, that's a great way to see how you could create a nice looking game. Next up from Kerbix, any chance we could see public recruitment anytime soon? We closed recruitment a couple months ago, primarily because we wanted to avoid dealing with the stress of hiring and just solely focus on getting Astral Central 2024 ready and out. However, now that AC24 is almost over, and we're going to be shifting our focus back to Galileo Research Complex, we might reopen applications for some specific roles, especially builders. If you're good at building, send me a DM if you want to work for Astral, because yeah, we desperately need some. That's not an insult to anyone else. I just tend to not like my own build style. So sometimes we get stuck in an endless cycle of building and then scrapping and building and scrapping. Yeah. All right, let's see what else. From Bloxer Boy Radio Events, I'm working on a core game, but I'm not familiar with Lua, and I don't have the budget for professional help. What do you think I should do? I want to get into building. Well, take inspiration, practice, and build. That's my 3-step process. First, take inspiration. There's a lot of really cool speed build videos. I don't remember exact channel names, but I know there's a lot of YouTube channels that their entire thing is just posting videos about them building things in a time lapse. And so seeing the process behind building rather than just the product can also help you learn how to build. Then you just need to practice. Just build and build and build. Even if it's not for your own game, just build random things. Like build a box, build a fuel cell, build a random gallon drum or something. Just keep building stuff, and as you keep building, you'll develop the muscle memory, and you'll develop increased skills that will allow you to eventually get up to where you want to be. And Chetsky in the game chat makes a good point. Use reference images. It's not cheating to use a reference image. So if you're looking to build something specific, just look up, Google an image of it, and then try to analyze it to see how it works out. Let's see. else do we got? From Festive Jacob, do you have any upcoming features / announcements for Astral in 2025? Stay tuned for the Resonance Awards. That's all I'll say. Let's see. From Intel X, will GRC have the specific robot that one may or may not be named after a certain planet in the solar system? Chat, what do we think? Yes, GRC will have the Mercuries. I'm surprised that's even a question. Because those Mercuries were made for GRC in the first place. You'll be able to use them to deliver cargo and equipment throughout the facility. So, for example, if you're in one part of the facility but you need a lab sample that you have stored somewhere else, you can call a Mercury and have it delivered. And how much time do we have? Because it's 7 now.
We have about 13 minutes.
Okay, yeah, so 7:15. So let's see. From someone named Apollo, what were your inspirations for GRC and ERH? Phew. Okay. This is gonna go way back. So inspiration-wise, there's a lot of different games that I really like the look of. I guess one I can think of off the top of my head is Intellix's Admiralty Development and Research Complex, which I'm not too familiar with how it's been these days, but I really like the visual style of that. Additionally, gameplay-wise, you have obviously Q-Surf with the sheer amount of detail. Also, with the Christmas update, I just like to make a point here. Whoever made those keypads, with the keycard slider in them, give them a bonus. Those are awesome. It's a really cool use of skin meshes. And then I'm trying to think what else. I think Innovation Thermal Power Plant, their task system, that was something really cool. That I'll probably take inspiration from. And then there's a whole bunch of other stuff, which I can't remember off the top of my head, but that's kind of the beauty of it, right? Throughout the years, I've absorbed so much and seen so much that there's just so much that I've developed really my own appreciation for what goes on. All right, this one's from Unfunny Lad. Is there any progress updates on the DTX AFR's development? I recall seeing a demo of some prototype model in the GRC updates channel, but I never really saw anything else. Now, literally the only thing we have worked on this year after Astral Day back in June is AC24. So unfortunately, we don't have any progress updates regarding the DTX AFR. At least anything that we could show. When we're going to shift our focus back into GRC development next year. So we'll definitely provide updates on the DTX AFR as it's developed. And for those of you who don't know, the DTX AFR is the Deuterium Tritium X aerosol fusion reactor, which is Galileo's reactor core. It's actually 2 cores and 1 core because you have an internal secondary fusion reactor that powers the big fusion reactor that's on the outside. The design, I think, is actually really cool. And if you're in the Astral Discord server, I believe you can go to the Lore Drops channel and there's blueprints and documents about it. However, we don't exactly have any 3D models or gameplay to show for it. Scorch, this might be a good one from you. I'm gonna butcher this horribly. Victorialiston, quote, is it hard to switch from different Lua variations? I want to learn computer craft first before going into Roblox, since I feel it will be easier for some reason.
Well, I've been working with Lua in Roblox, Figura, and Computercraft. They each have their own slight differences, and I can easily adapt to them. But it really depends on you and how you work with Lua and how invested you are with any one of them. And that's basically what I have to say with that.
Yeah, so if you want to get started programming in Lua, honestly, either any of the different like platforms they use it on, like Roblox, Computer Craft, Open Computers, they're all gonna have their own differences. Start with what you think is the coolest, like what you enjoy most, because that'll keep you motivated to keep going with it. And it's not just Roblox and Minecraft too. Like Lua is a very common scripting language for mods. For example, in Gmod or I believe GTA 5. I'm not entirely sure. I've never played, but uh
Elatro.
there's and yeah, Balatro was coded in Lua and it almost won Game of the Year. SMH got robbed. But yeah, it was Lua is definitely it's a more accessible language compared to lower level languages like I guess C++ or C. But honestly, learning to code at all, regardless of what language, if you pick up one language, you'll get kind of a sense of how coding works, like basic structures like loops, functions, variables, and then you can apply that to different languages. All right. What
So
else
there's a
can
pretty good question for you from Tukin.
How many developers do you have working on GRC, and how many are you looking to hire? Last I checked, we had 8 or so, but that we don't divide the staff team by projects, at least not now. What we do is we just have our developers, and we're all focused on one project at a time. But I should mention that each of our developers has a different set of strengths and weaknesses. And I will say we have a lot more scripters than we do builders. And so for how many we're looking to hire, ideally we would get like 2 or 3 more builders to help us really get the map for GRC out, because that's the biggest roadblock for us is getting a map. Because I mean, GRC, we plan to have it be pretty big. All right, and then also Tukin, estimated release date for GRC. I don't want to commit to anything. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't really believe in release dates, but I would like to have it out sometime like late 2026 if schedules permit. Obviously it'd be really nice if we got it out earlier, but with Astral Central and other projects, I mean, we can't really guarantee anything. From Apollo, will the Year H2 original soundtracks be used in GRC? Yes. Songs such as Cold Unfiltered Atmosphere and End of the Line will be used in Galileo. In fact, I was actually originally planning to drop a Spotify album of GRC Volume 0, which would include Under the Aurora, End of the Line, Lo-Fi Beat to Relax and Regenerate to, I'm gonna think what else, Cavern, and then, did I already say Cold Unfiltered Atmosphere? I think I did. There's a 5th one. But yeah, it would eventually go on streaming. But that has been postponed for reasons, which I won't really get into here. From Brian Zoo, we got 5 minutes before we switch over to the Polaris Q&A. So let's see. Question: since a good portion of the gameplay for reactor events is just walking and pathfinding, what other factors have you seen that you think make reactor event gameplay the most fun? I'm gonna talk about one of the events in one of our Game of the Year nominees, that being Don't Luck 2 Singularity Containment Site. That game, in its meltdown or whatever, I think it's like a shield failure or something. I forget what the official name is, but it has a lot of interactive components. yes, it has a lot of walking around and pathfinding, but they also have this like server breakdown like sub event where you have to constantly go and repair a server room in order to allow the computers of the facility to shut down the reactor. So like having more interactivity throughout your events is a really good way to make them more fun. Also, destruction. Like if you have a singularity instability, thank you, TC. Um, but also if you have like destruction, like if you have normally like really commonly used paths and you block them with debris or explosions, then you can force players to find new pathways in order to get to where they need to go. Oh man, I have like so many pings I have to read after this. uh, um, and kind of piggybacking off of Apollo's question about the relationship between ERH2 and Galileo's OSTs, Glass asked, "Is GRC going to use pre-existing assets from ERH 2.0?" And the answer to that is yes. We are already planning to do all sorts of things to bring over from ERH 2.0. For example, the drone companions. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the Mercuries and the Peregrines and how adorable they are. But there's the little drone companions, which are these little over-the-shoulder buddies that you can have. And they're similar to like pets in some other games, but they actually serve a purpose of boosting your passive XP and data shard, which is our currency generation. Some provide light sources, and some have special skins that you can only unlock by doing certain things. Like, for example, the Crimson Door puzzle campaign, since Elevators was the first one to solve it, he'll get a special drone shell, which is the skin, that's themed off of that puzzle campaign. All right, we should have time for one more, so I'm just going to ask this question to the staff here. What made you want to work for Astral?
Who wants to start?
I guess
Should we go-
I will. Might as well.
Should
Well,
we go like left to right? You can continue. Sorry.
Well, I met Astra back in like 2019, 2020, somewhere around that time. I saw Astral and I don't know exactly why I wanted to work with Astral, but I know now why I want to work for Astral now. It's GRC. It's just like how we are like I don't know how to describe this. We are doing things that are very unique, and I want to be a part of that. That's basically all I could say, really.
Dree?
Kind of piggybacking off what Scorch said, Astral was doing a lot of very unique stuff. Like, for example, the Astral Central conventions, like the one we're at right now. AC23 was kind of like my, whoa, this group is kind of cool. And then I heard about GRC, which is, I can already tell is going to be good. Oh, Scorch has disappeared.
Again.
I'll pass it off to you now, TC.
So for me, it mostly started with finding ERH 1.0 and also AC22, and then after AC22, just hearing that one Astra needed more people, and also being invited as an invited guest to AC22, it just made me want to really get involved with the group, because it seemed like this group was going to go places, and Astral Central was something I really wanted to get involved in general as well. Rabbit?
I saw AC23. Is that?
Yeah, valid.
I joined it on a whim. I think it was an elevator station. It was mentioned in passing there. I thought, sure, I'll give it a go. Didn't really have not the high expectations, and honestly, I was blown away. Like, sure, AC23 was laggy. Everything just felt kind of sluggish, but that was the first time I've seen Astral Industries in years. And B, that was the moment I saw Astral and thought, these guys are doing some really, really cool stuff. I want to work for them because I wasn't in a group for a long while until that point. So I got an application in and got submitted. So I started working here in, I think it was March last year now.
Something like that. All right, now, with that, we're actually a couple of minutes over time, so we're going to go ahead and switch over to our last panel of the night. This one being probably the most anticipated one, the AC24 behind-the-scenes Q&A. Now, we are going to switch out a couple of the people here. TC and Reasoner, thank you for joining us on the stage. And let's bring out Elevators and Yeaterson.
Bye, chat.
Hey, chat.
That's weird. Good night.
Alright, where's Ellie?
What's up, guys? I don't know.
Crap, where is Ellie?
I
Isn't
see
he
them in the
gone?
audience. They're lurking
Alright.
somewhere.
My
Invite.
fellow Americans.
There we go.
All right. So now, without further ado, welcome to the Astral Central 2024 Behind the Scenes panel, presented by us guys here at Polaris Media. Now, Polaris Media is the event management subgroup of Astral Industries, who is responsible for putting on these shows. Now, we've already introduced some of the guys here, but let's go ahead and introduce our last two people here. So, Yeaterson, take it away.
Hi, I am Yeaterson. I am one of the event staff leads alongside Scorch. I also played a role in the special event. Ellie, your turn.
I'm Elevators. You already probably know who I am. I was operating the
Ellie?
Huh? Sorry. I was operating some of the stuff in the AV booth. I was helping out with the special event, and I also ran a puzzle campaign before
Ellie's
Astral
not on the
Central.
stage. Oh wait, Ellie, we can't hear you trying to talk.
No, I can hear them.
I can hear Ellie fine. I can hear him fine.
Yeah.
What?
What?
It's gonna be-
Is there something
Okay,
wrong
well,
with
I
my
get-
microphone?
No, Furry is having tech issues.
Oh, okay. I was just making
Okay,
sure.
hi, I can hear you now. What's up? Sorry about that. My bad.
No, you're fine.
We're talking.
Yeah, so
yeah, that's happened.
I
That's
take
cool.
it most of the people here are going to be curious about the the special event, which I suppose I can
Special
reveal
event.
that its official name, which was actually revealed all the way back in the roster reveal video, was Operation Prism. Now, in order to understand what it was really all about, you would have needed to completed Elevator's polarized puzzle campaign, which, I mean, there's still event rules up for grabs, I think, right?
Yes, they are. As of right now, the entry point is still hidden, but it is somewhere within the roster reveal. In the coming probably weeks at this point, given that I have to work on Sapphire Bust, I will release a more public entry point so everybody can hopefully participate.
Right, so let's go ahead and get started with some community questions. So from Intel X, what was the first ever Astral Central and what inspired you guys here to start this incredible event? So, to start things off, the first ever Astral Central was all the way back in 2020. Now, I don't really like to talk about the thing that inspired me to make it that much anymore, but I will say it was a similar event hosted by another sci-fi group that had a bunch of people presenting on a stage and having some cool like interaction stuff, and I thought that was really cool. So I wanted to do something like that. I took inspiration I put it into action, and boom, Astral Central 2020. You can actually find the VOD for it in the video section of Astral's YouTube page if you want to take a listen to that. And honestly, after AC20, I realized that like I really like putting on shows because like I was doing theater at that point, and like I had this perfect mix of wanting to be a showman and also like being a tech producer. Everything just meshed together perfectly. It was a literal perfect storm. Now, I'll let Furry handle this one. What were some of the fixes you attempted during the beginning of the event today?
Like beginning of the event,
Like the server crashes.
Today?
How did we try to fix it?
First we tried throttling like people joining the game, and then after that didn't work and it crashed, we tried to disable streaming enabled, which apparently had some server load issues that still crashed. We tried to lower the player count to 350, but then it still crashed, and we're here with just insiders only in the main server.
Yeah. Let's see. From
Oh, yeah.
JT. Oh, sorry, go on.
Hold on.
Furry, give me the suit.
Yeah, I'm
by the
working
way.
on it.
All right.
From JT, how does Polaris Media plan to address the growing attendance of Astral Central, and how will the performance of the VEC be improved for next year? We don't know yet. We just figured out these issues exist, and we're gonna need to do like a month's worth of reflection and analysis in order to figure out where we want to go from here, because things have to change in order to support this level of audience based on what we've seen so far. I won't get into anything else further related to that. Oh, this is a fun one. This one's from Val. Ellie, I'll let you take this one. What would happen if the warhead timer got to 0?
So, actually, let me pull up the script just so I have this right. If the warhead timer hit 0, well, yes. Hold on 1 second. So, during the whole event, I think you remember a certain character coming onto the intercom and giving you guys a little bit of extra time during the defusal sequence. That character attached some sort of explosive to the warhead that would have broken something vital to, it actually combusting. So if the warhead ended up exploding, it wouldn't. The plan was foiled from the start, basically.
Yeah, it actually would not have exploded at all. Because the C4 charge that was planted on the side of the Borealis engine, it crippled the stage 2 fuel tank. If you remember during the pylon defusal sequence, there was a voice line from Onyx that said like unknown error detected in stage 2 fuel tank. That was because of that explosive, and you may have noticed the warhead lit on fire. And that meant that it just wouldn't have gone off. So the game was rigged from the start.
And if you were wondering what the dialogue would be like in case that would have happened, I would have probably have just said boom right as it went off, just to time it perfectly. And well, of course it wouldn't have gone off. And we just
let's just do a read through of the timer
Yeah,
expiration
sure.
dialogue. All right,
Why
take
not?
it away, Ellie.
I have it open.
And boom! Why hasn't it detonated yet? The timer hit 0 and everything.
You do realize the engine is on fire, right? Maybe the thing broke because of that?
Really? All of that just for the thing to not even work? Why did I even bother? Fine, you win. We'll be back. Yelena, mind getting us out of here?
You only have enough crystals for one jump, though.
Well, we're gonna have to find some more later. Look, the security guards are right down the hall. We don't have time for this.
Yeah,
And
and,
then the
that's
intercom would
basically
cut
what would have
out.
happened.
And like a little riff sound would play, which would basically tell you we already warped away at that point.
I'm gonna get Astra's line playing.
What? Oh, can you actually play
You know,
that?
your
Is that a-
line. Yeah, I gotta get it. You're calling.
Oh yeah, for context, in game we had a bunch of voice lines that I recorded just as like a kind of mini tutorial for the people in game, and I hope that it helped for those of you who actually went out and diffused it.
I'll play it.
Unfortunately,
Well,
we
that
couldn't
was
record and get the
inconvenient,
voice
to
lines.
say the least. At least the show and its guests are safe and sound. We'll be sure to
Would've
properly
pre-recorded-
dispose of that thing later. Anyways, we've got a show to put on. Stay tuned to the next presentation.
You can continue, Scorch. It's over.
Yeah, we would have actually pre-recorded Ellie and Furry's lines, but they were actually getting warned for trying to do so, and we couldn't have that. We didn't want to risk anything, and so we had to do those live.
We're probably going to have to like reword a couple of things before we actually allow people to freely play the event after Astral Central. So we do ask that you bear with us while we figure that out.
All right, we'll answer one more question about the Operation Prism before we move on. So from Kerbix, first of all, why was there a warhead in the VEC in the first place? Ellie, do you want to talk about the origins of what used to be called the Ellevasion?
Sure. So all of this started out as a huge joke, right? And it's also the reason why I was brought on to the Polaris media team in the first place. I was just joking around saying that, it would be funny if we had some sort of meltdown sequence during the event. And that's where I got the idea of me just having enough with the community so united that I just decided that I would explode the entire event center just to have something to report on, some drama to talk about. And that's kind of where everything spiraled out of control, and eventually it became, canon, just in a way nobody was expecting. And eventually I would go on to make the puzzle campaign that some of you have uncovered and others have solved.
Yeah, and also shout out Chetsky. They were probably one of the only people outside of the PM team to know about Operation Prism from the start, because they were one of the people who helped come up with the original concept. So I just wanted to give a special thanks to them. Chetsky was one of the people who said, "What if Ellie blew up the VEC?" Okay, so okay, fine. This one I'll do this one rapid fire, and then we'll actually move on from Operation Prism questions. So this one is from Victor Lesson. I probably butchered that again. But what were the devices that were put inside the nose cone of the warhead? Because if you saw the footage, it's just a bunch of random stuff all crammed in there. The reasoning for that is lore, which we will not be sharing yet. But here are a list of the things that we put in there. We have the magma crystal from Innovation Thermal Power Plant, a thermal injection plasma reactor fuel cell from Energy Research on 1.0, a DMR fuel cell from QSurf, the Liker fuel cell from North Shore Mountains Research Site. We have a Trinity, aka the Bob-Omb from Sci-Fi Showdown. And then we also have a rod of U-238 and the Liker on a stick. There's also something from Nick's Antimatter Complex. I'm sure one of y'all knows what it is more than me.
It's the ATS cell.
Yeah. So the idea is that we put a bunch of core game explosives in there, and this entire sequence was meant to be a giant homage to the sci-fi community, and all the different groups that make it great. All right, let's see. From Tukendev, I understand you guys want to move away from AC at least for 2025 to focus on producing an actual game. But with the sheer turnout and support for AC24, surely that is weighing on your opinion. Indeed. We'll be sharing more information about that during the Resonance Awards, I believe. Let's see. From Unfunny Lad, is there any way we'll be able to have a rehearsal of the special event to see the other outcome? Well, I mean, we kind of did that earlier. We had the read through. From Apollo, when are you going to be covering the letters to the founder? Also during the Resonance Awards. From Anarchy Skyline, have you ever considered separating the event hall from the booths in different games? This would allow smaller parties to check out the booths while having one game solely just for the auditorium. This would allow for much more people to join. Now, the reason we didn't do this was because of the Cosmic Awards back in 2023. And they had pretty much that exact same system. They had a main place with all the booths, and then everyone got teleported directly into an auditorium. And it kind of worked, except teleport service only allows you to teleport X amount of people at any given time. And if we have so many different people, then some people wouldn't get teleported, some people might get split up in different servers. It's a whole mess that really just does not work well. I mean, shout out to the Cosmic team for putting that together. It was still an incredible event, but that doesn't mean that it didn't have its problems, and we didn't want to have those issues during an Astral Central event. However, honestly, we might look into it again if we can figure out a way to make it work, like maybe like literally 2 different places. That might be something we can end up doing in order to fully split the AV booth, like, and the auditorium from the showcase galleries. Okay, what other questions do we have? From TML 101, how much time goes into the whole event center? Was there already work going on before the AC23 event center closed? I'll let one of the other people answer that. Okay, what is that sound?
It's Hybrid's booth.
Ticking.
It's Hybrid's booth switch.
AC24, pretty much, we started working on it in January. It's been something we've kind of been into over the year. Had some periods where we just made, I think we made the mag hall in about a few weeks, which was very impressive. But the entire thing we spent a year on, more or less. Some things came up quicker than the others.
We actually started work on AC24 before AC23, believe it or not. We have a little catchphrase in our event staff team. That's a next year thing. And it's because we always have so many different ideas about what we can include in our events that we always have to postpone stuff to another year. And we've already begun planning and working on AC25. Well, if we decide to do AC25, we're currently in its concepting phase right now. More on that later. But I mean, there's a whole lot of work that goes in even beyond just building.
Oh, if I might add, I know you said about Project Prism and all that stuff, but I just wanted to add that all of that started getting concepted over the summer, so there was a lot less time to actually both implement it into the game and get the puzzles up and running.
Like, in all honesty, I was both incredibly excited and absolutely terrified because I had no idea if we were going to pull it off properly, because of how quickly it went from prototype to integration compared to the rest of the event.
Right.
So I was there just silently praying and going, God, please work, especially after everything that happened early into the event.
But it works pretty much flawlessly.
Yeah,
minus a couple of issues with manuals popping up, but other than that.
Yeah, for if you liked the little module diffusal sections, they were heavily inspired from a game that I really like called Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. So if you like that kind of style of gameplay, definitely go check that out.
Heavily inspired.
Permanently borrowed.
I mean, they weren't completely copied. I mean, a lot of the modules did
literally
have
borrowed.
different rules that you did have to read. So
yeah,
if you
I
actually
rewrote
played these games,
all the manuals, so it
So if
isn't
you
one to
actually
one
played
to
these
actually
games,
take.
then none of that knowledge would apply here, except like there's modules and there's rules.
Okay. We'll do one more question because we got to get ready for the Resonance Awards. So from Unfunny Lad, is Astral Day happening next year, or will it be postponed along with AC25? We still plan to have Astral Day because it doesn't really take as much work as Astral Central does, not by nearly a massive margin. Astral Day is just kind of like an Astral birthday party, so we just kind of get together and have a game night. This year we had a first look video for GRC that came out. That was pretty cool. But again, it's just a internal community celebration rather than a massive inter-community event like AC. Now, before we go, I would just like to take a moment to appreciate the field suits that both of our agents here are wearing. So if you could stand up and give us a little 360. Not that far. The camera's not up there. Go back to the couch, but like just stand
Oh,
right
get
in front of it.
real.
Come on.
Jump table.
Oh,
Go
okay.
on,
Just
table.
on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these suits, I did the modeling for them, but I also have to shout out Ghastly Gas for the texturing. They came out incredible, and I genuinely really like how it worked. Same thing for the device on their back. Like again, I did the modeling, Gas did the texturing, and it just was awesome.
Sorry to
So-
real
Real
sync I
sync right
did like
now.
sorry to interrupt, but I think I
We
did
are
like
perfectly
half the
synced.
model
It's like-
and
it's
then
like you're both in a
did, like,
microwave.
fixing it.
Oh right, yeah. You also did some of the UV work, right?
It was the thing we didn't show was the one you did the model for.
Ah, right. Oh no, yeah, you're right. Gas definitely did model this too. That's my bad for you stealing credit where I didn't realize I was. Thanks for correcting me. I appreciate that. But yeah, okay, y'all can
So I
stop
wasn't saying you
microwaving
were
now.
stealing. Sorry, I didn't mean to imply that you were stealing. I was just
We were microwaving in complete sync. Perfect sync.
Okay. Yeah, give me a
All right. Well, with that, we're gonna go ahead and call the panel here. We will potentially start answering other questions after the event, just in text form. In-game chat is asking if we can buy the field suits. The field suits probably not as layered clothing because I don't think anyone here knows how layered clothing works, and it would probably take a long time to get set up.
I could try.
Yeah, maybe later. But but we will potentially be selling the goggles and the back device, which the name will be revealed later. Okay, no. Insiders, before we get into the Resonance Awards, I do need to remind you that you do have the chance to vote for Best Showcase Booth. Open your event booklet, go to the Vote tab, and vote. We will be revealing those in the Resonance Award, which start in 5 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and call this here, and we will see you on the Magnitude Hall stage for our award show. Thank you very much.